Hello, everyone. Welcome to Immigration Live with Lee. I am attorney Lee Marvin, and I'm your host for this live session where I answer your immigration questions and bring up relevant information and trends under immigration law. Okay. So, if you recall, 1 week ago, I was in Mexico. I'm not in Mexico, but this view is beautiful. It's not as warm, but I am in Michigan. So what can you do? Um, so today I wanted to talk about green card processing times and requests for evidence RFE delays. Why do I pick this topic? Because it happens so much. There's so many delays with so many things with immigration. I think the most common question I get from clients is about the delays, processing times. What can you do, and what can we do to make sure that we don't get any more delays, and how do we speed things up? So, one of the things that can help speed up your immigration is by filing properly, of course, but also if you happen to get a request for evidence from immigration, respond to it quickly and accurately. The funny thing is, it's not easy to say and to do that, okay? I mean, it's easy to say, but it's not always easy to do because immigration's all over the place. The stuff that they ask for is often bogus, BS, underhanded, bureaucratic in nature, and it's designed to screw people up. I'm convinced of that. The bringing humanity back to immigration, they're a far cry away from doing that. So let me give you some examples of some of the common things we're seeing. Okay, so request for evidence. First of all, if you've ever gotten one of these things, they are written in such a way that it worries you, it's scary, and they make you seem like you're a criminal. So again, I do want to remind people to write their comments in the comment section, their questions. Welcome to the show. I appreciate everyone being here. But please write your questions so I can answer specific questions after I get done explaining to you about this request for evidence mumbo jumbo. So a request for evidence, they ask for things often that they've asked for before, or they ask for things that are just not true. Like an example, I responded to one today from a client, for a client. So immigration asked for a marriage certificate that we had already provided. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Why are they asking for this again? It's not the first time that's happened. But as I read the request from immigration, and again, it's written in such a way that's very insulting and very scary, right? So they ask for this information. As I read closer into it, they asked for it because they said, you recorded your marriage certificate 1 year and 9 months after your wedding. Explain why you did that, provide more information to show why um, why we should approve this, because we basically are calling you out. We're saying that you're full of bunk and you're not actually in a legitimate relationship. So I'm like, what are they talking about? A year in 9 months, 2 days. My client filed their marriage certificate 2 days after they got married. Immigration, whether it's intentional to try to screw with my client or whether they're just incompetent, I don't know. I think it has more to do with the incompetency, but I've seen them do some really dirty things in order to intentionally screw up people's cases. So you got to read the information that they're asking for. You respond to it as soon as you can, because if you delay, it's going to delay your case and maybe even deny your case if you don't respond in time. So that's just one example of a client that I was working with today. I submitted it to immigration today. Okay. Um, Again, repeat requests for information that was already sent. Immigration love asking for information about the relationship that dates way far back. They go back further now than they ever have. They want to see whether the people actually have a history longer than even when they've just gotten married. It's almost like a fiance visa. They're asking for stuff to show that you had a relationship before. And so these guys are darn tricky. And again, bringing humanity back to immigration is complete propaganda. It's not really a thing. So watch for these things. Make sure you get help with it if you need help, because it's easy for the government to deny things, even if it's an inaccurate or false request from someone, they can still deny you. So you got to be really darn careful about it, okay? So again, welcome to all of our friends on Instagram, um, YouTube, and Facebook. Welcome to Immigration Live with Lee. Please put your questions in the comment section so I can help you answer questions that you have that I don't necessarily always go over everything. I have a lot of videos that I posted that answers a lot of questions that most people have, but you can always ask questions here, and I'm going to put in the link um, in case you have questions that you don't want to share with the world and you want to schedule a consultation with me. This little link will get you a direct meeting with me so I can talk with you and I can give you all the answers you need and recommend to you how to succeed. Um, so that is something that I would love to help you with. So if you want to schedule that consultation, please do so. Let me put it in here too. Um, put it in there if you have questions so I can help you. Speaking of questions, and I'm going to get back to my list of cool stuff that I wanted to talk about, but I see Danny Wilson. Is there any progress about processing times for marriage green cards? Danny, one of the most common questions I get is that I don't have any earth shaking information to provide to you other than immigration is taking their sweet time still. Um, going online and looking at processing times is helpful sometimes, but it also is a way for people to get really frustrated, especially if they continue to trust that the government is being straight and forthright with them. Um, USCIS case status updates are completely unreliable the majority of the time. So processing times, um, it's been faster in the past. It is getting better from my experience. If you go to my YouTube channel, I have some videos that I posted about how you can figure out the answers to this. Whether it's reliable or not, that might not matter, but knowing on where to go to find the answers, that information is on my YouTube channel, so please check it out. So yes, please send your questions. So Danny, I will say that it is getting better, okay? And I don't know if it's the nice weather. I don't know what's going on. If it's politicians trying to satisfy people before the election, I don't know what it is. It is getting a little bit better though. So don't give up hope, okay? So again, moving back to how you can make sure that you are not the cause for delays. Request for evidence, respond as soon as possible, really read into that to make sure you're answering the question that they ask. They love nothing more than for people to not actually answer their question. If they're again, if their questions or their requests are not legitimate, you still have to address their question, right? You have to explain to them why they're not right or provide to them the information they ask for. So other examples. Um, oh yeah, immigration. This happened recently too. Immigration is asking for criminal records for a client that didn't relate to his crime, right? So he definitely had a criminal history, and they asked for stuff that was probably, I don't know, maybe related to something that could be a part of what he may or may not have done in the past. In his case, he didn't do anything. So they said, provide this information to us. And they say, if you don't provide the information to us within the 87 days or whatever it is, or if the information doesn't exist, you need to get a um, written verification of that from the court system. What the heck? So you now are putting a burden on clients and petitioners and applicants for things that they didn't even do and making them go to the court system for proof that they didn't do something. It's not supposed to work like that, folks, but that's the way it's working these days. So keep that in mind. If you need help with it, click on the link so I can help you with it. Things like this, when you get to the point of a request for evidence, you don't want to mess with it because you're almost to the finish line. So make sure you do it right. And if you need to enlist help from me, you can do that. Click on the link and schedule your consultation if you have more questions about that, okay? Again, welcome to everyone. Please insert your questions in the comment section. Let me go up here to see if there's any other questions before I continue with my very passionate rebuke of the government and how they ask for things that really they should not be asking for, making things very difficult for people. You're welcome, Danny. Have a nice night. So again, other things that we're seeing from immigration are long form birth certificates. So if you're doing things like yourself, you're not going to an attorney, again, it's your prerogative, but keep in mind that if you're doing certain things, you're providing information, documents from your government, you better make sure that you're providing the information that immigration is looking for. Most of the time, you have an attorney that's helping you with this, so an attorney knows what things to ask for. But if you have a client that is asking, doing things kind of off the seat of their pants, immigration is going to ask you for things that you're like, what the heck is this? Again, send your questions, please. Everyone, please send questions if you have them. I want to keep answering relevant questions to people. I'm going to get to the T visa question I have here. Do I do T visas? T visas are not very common, but I do T visas. So if you need to schedule a consultation so we can talk about that, please click the link that I provided and I'll post it again. So yes, that's Kurt Gregory. Yes, T visas are definitely something we can help you with. Let's see here. How long does it take to close an immigration, to close a case in immigration court? So Carmen, I'm not sure if I exactly know what you mean. When you mean close the case, do you mean finish, resolve a case, or do you mean to convince the government to close the case? Okay, because the answer can go both ways. Depending on what you are doing in immigration court, usually if it's a deportation, it moves quickly, good or bad. It moves quickly. The government is expecting you to do your stuff lickety split, or they will close it for you, okay? Now, to succeed in an immigration court case, if that's what you mean, that is completely up in the air. It depends on what type of case you have. Most of the time, it's deportation. Deportation is the way that the government processes people out of the country, and then they submit the things that they need in order to fight the deportation. So that can take on many forms and it can be very complicated, okay? So let me go here 1 second. If a husband has an I-130 but is in removal proceedings, what can be done? And you're welcome, Daniela. I aim to please, so thank you for watching as always. So if you have an I-130, that's just the first part of the puzzle, okay? An approved I-130 just communicates to the court in a deportation that you actually have a shot at getting legal status in the country, okay? It's highly important, but it doesn't mean a whole lot unless you have everything else to go with it, okay? So if you have that, that's a great start, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. And there's a lot of other things, immigration history, family history, a lot of things come into play when you're talking about deportation, okay? So yes, Carmen, my pleasure. Let me go over here, see if there's any questions over here with our friends in YouTube. Not right now, not currently, that's good. Facebook, no one right now. Okay, so how long does it take to get the asylum approval after getting the work permit? Again, it depends on what process you're talking about, because there's affirmative asylum and defensive asylum. The work permit stuff is in flux. It's trending in the right direction, whereas the government is making a concerted effort to actually try to pacify people by giving them work permits a little bit quicker, which is always good, and a little bit longer. They released an announcement within the last 2 weeks saying that they are now approving work permits for longer. That's a huge trend in the right direction. But your case makes or breaks everything. Your asylum case makes or breaks everything. There's so much that can go on. I have clients that I've had asylum cases for 7 years. They do have their work permit, but how long after they have their work permit are they going to be approved? I don't know. It's been 7 years already. So it's an extreme amount of time. Everything comes down to how you enter the country, what sort of deportation case, what your history is. It's an absolute nightmare and mess, and it's getting even more complicated because immigration is constantly changing how they approach these things and what they permit people to do or not to do. So that question really deserves a better answer. And the only way to get that answer is to schedule a consultation so I get more information about you. I love answering questions. I hate answering questions in a bad way where I'm giving information that's not accurate. And the only way I can give accurate information is by having accurate information to process, okay? Let's see. My husband filed I-130 and we received a biometric appointment. What does it mean and when should I get a Social Security? So biometrics is the government's way of continuing the processing of a work permit, where they take your picture, they take your fingerprints, and they do a background check, okay? All that comes into play. So depending on what they find, and depending on what process you file, it determines how long it's gonna take. Again, it's one of those questions that the scope is like humongous. So more information about your process will allow me to better answer that question. So you can always schedule a consultation, which I will post the link here as always. So please check it out. Terry, my friend, how are you? I see you here again tonight. So welcome as always. And thank you for being a loyal friend and watching us every Monday. Let me go back here. Can you be stopped for re-entering the U.S. if your ex-wife reported fraud after getting your 10-year green card? Wandy, it is extremely unlikely that's going to happen. If your ex is really spiteful and really wanting to ruin your life, yeah, it's possible. But she would have to take affirmative steps by turning you into immigration, reporting you, and building the case against you, essentially. So yes, it is possible, but it's unlikely that you're traveling with your green card and you're going to get stopped or you're going to get denied. It's very unlikely unless it's a pretty serious thing, okay? So, okay, what else do we have here? Okay, so yeah, so that's the fraud question. Immigration loves fraud because they love to smoke people for it. But it really depends on what is going on, because sometimes, you have an ex that's pissed off at you and will say things. Immigration, unless they have hot evidence that proves it or really points to the fact that it's true, they're going to blow it off. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to worry. But if there's truth to that, and you have an ex that's pissed, I would schedule a consultation with me so I can help you avoid the inevitable problems that come with that, okay? So again, welcome all of our friends. Please submit your questions so I can answer them, okay? So in the comment section, please make sure that you are putting them in there. So again, let me go back to my list, okay? So request for evidence, delays in processing times is a big thing. So other things that we've noticed in the office that immigration's playing dirty tricks, okay? I talked about proof of extended relationship even longer than the marriage. Stupid things like you need to submit proof of a government ID card, okay? That comes more common with people with asylum. Even even after somebody filed asylum for years, sometimes immigration still sends a request for evidence. Like if you're renewing your work permit, they will send something like that because they want you to stumble, trip, and fall and smash your face so they can deny you. So we're seeing that too. Okay. Um, an easy solution to that is your passport. Okay. Some people don't have passports, but they have other things like driver's licenses, especially if you have a work permit, you probably have a driver's license. So it's common for them to ask dumb things like that. It's easy to fix and to send to them if you have something like that. Okay. Um, oh, this I want to talk about, but first I'm going to look at these questions. How long does it take before turning my 10-year green card to citizenship? Well, sir, Wandy, 5 years is all it takes. If you've been a legal permanent resident for 5 years and you can speak English and you can study for the civics test, you can become a naturalized citizen. Okay. If you've got other things in your history that maybe complicate things, that might change, but 5 years is all it takes. So you have a 10-year green card. You only have to wait 5 years to be able to move forward with your citizenship. I do it all the time for people. I help a lot of people with citizenship. Probably the second most common process that we do in the office. So reach out to me, schedule a consultation so I can help you with that. Okay. Um, okay. Is it possible to expedite the I-131 on the basis of mental health declining? I'll be honest with you. I am an absolute, what's the right word for it? I do not trust the government. This expedited BS that they talk about, they post this stuff online because it's good for PR. In my opinion, it's absolute garbage. So expedited requests don't really exist. I had a client who had a severe car accident. The government absolutely ignored us when we made the request for expedited process. So I don't have any faith in that process. So if there's a declining, you know, mental health or things like that, it's a legitimate request. I'm not confident that the government is going to treat it like they should. So by all means, try it, but don't hold your breath. Okay. Um, so let's see. Can you travel? Can you travel or fly from state to state while your asylum case is pending? If you're inside the United States, and this is for uh, anti-Shosh. Okay. If you're inside the United States, technically, you're not supposed to be hassled when you travel by air. Okay. That doesn't mean the government won't do it because I get hassled by immigration. I was born in the United States quite a while ago, and I still sometimes get hassled. Um, they can hassle you no matter where you are. It's legally they're not supposed to because the Real ID Act has not gone into effect. So that's the thing that says that they're allowed to hassle you if you don't have the enhanced ID. But that doesn't mean that they can't do it. They can hassle anyone they want at any time. If you can't tell, I don't have a whole lot of trust and faith in the government. So I'm very critical of them because I've seen firsthand that they don't treat people right. They don't follow the law themselves. So be careful. If you can do it any other way, a Greyhound bus, take a train, um, it's safer for you because they can do whatever the heck they want. And then you have to try to fix it. So be careful with that. Okay. Um, so again, I love seeing all these questions. Thank you for posting your questions in the comment section. Let me go back up and look at some of these that I missed. California processing timeline currently for F2A is 43 months. I assume my final action date. So yeah, 43 months. I'm seeing a lot of this stuff, especially for waivers. So the 601, 601A, ridiculous amounts of time. Um, so it definitely takes that long. They might tweak the dates to make people feel better about them in hopes that election is better for the people in power. But it's about as crappy as it's ever been, and it is getting a little bit better, but not by a whole lot. Okay. Um, so, whoops. Okay, what did I do here? Um, So basically, okay, I gotta reduce that. Um, so a couple of the other things that we're seeing again with weird processing things for the government. Um, proof of ID. Oh, yeah, yeah. I want to talk about this. So this is very common. Having different names on your immigration documents. What do I mean by that? So women often take the name of their husband. In the United States, it's about as common as you can get. It's less common, especially with our Hispanic friends and clients. Um, but people do use the different names. Okay, so I will say that this has been a problem for ever since I've been practicing immigration law. This has come up over and over and over again. What I tell people is be consistent. You don't have to take your husband's name. Nobody cares about that. But you got to be consistent. If one day you use your maiden name or the name on your passport, and the next you use your married name and you file stuff with a married name, but yet you still have it with you get what I'm saying here? It creates tons of problems, especially when you're going to the point of doing an interview. I've got a client right now who did this, and it's like, Lord have mercy, be consistent. Okay. What do you do if you've done that? Okay. How do you convince the government, or how can you continue to move forward? Have your backup documentation. This is not a new concept, right? So if you got married and you took your husband's name, or better yet, you got married, took your husband's name on the marriage certificate, but then never used it in real life. I've had a number of clients do that, and it creates tons of problems. The thing is, you have backup documents that show your different names. That's really what immigration wants to see. They might be super picky about it. They may clobber you for it. They might beat you for it. But as long as you have the backup documentation to show these different names, you can say, okay, guys, I'm not a fake person. I didn't change my name for immigration. It's because I got married. Okay. So again, these things happen all the time. So you just have to watch that. Okay. Um, um, my ex-wife seized my daughter's passport and green card and social security. I tried to get it replaced. USCIS didn't replace it, and police can't get it back. That's a tough situation. Um, that's something that really is in the realm of criminal law. If somebody is keeping information from you that they don't have the right to keep from you, everything comes down to whether you are legally, if you are married or if you're the legal parent of a child, you have a custody arrangement, you have something in the court system, you can go to the court to help you defend that or to force your significant other to provide the information to you. It's a hard nut to crack. Pissed off exes, everybody knows it's the worst thing that ever happens because they can create all sorts of problems. But everything comes down to whether you did things right leading up to that or not. Okay. Um, so again, these questions, not all problems can be resolved, but there's usually a solution or at least a path to a solution. I'm seeing a lot of new people joining us. Welcome. This is Immigration Live with Lee. Please put your comments and questions in the comment section so I can answer them in due course. And again, I want to remind everyone that every week we do these. Every week we process them and we post them on our YouTube channel. So you can go back and take a look at the questions that other people asked, okay? So don't forget to check our YouTube channel, subscribe, please subscribe, click a notification bell. If you don't already watch all my videos, you're missing out because I've got some really good videos that are really helpful to people, okay? So check that out. So again, so all these questions, it's not just right now that it's important and helpful for people, but you can go back next week, you can go back in 2 weeks to check out what people asked and what I answered. Okay, so check it out. What else? Okay, and other delays that you can avoid with your processing is changes of addresses. Okay, I get it. People move, they have to move. Okay, but I say if people are inconsistent or people are moving often, that's definitely going to create problems. So if you can avoid that, if you have a reliable family member, you can use that address, even if you think that you're going to come up and move a few more times. That's just a suggestion, something that might help you, because every delay is a delay in your process, in your approval, in your interview, and your green card. Okay, so be careful with changing your address. Um, okay, how about the I-751 forms processing time, especially California Service Center? Um, so again, the 751 is the removal of conditions. Okay, again, I don't know what the processing times are. I know that you can take a look. If you don't know how to find that information, watch my YouTube channel because I have videos to teach you how to do that. I mean, the removal of condition process is long, okay? It has historically been close to 2 years, where immigration just takes a long time. What they had been doing provisionally is automatically extending your underlying green card so you don't go out of status. I don't know if they're still doing that with all these initiatives that the Biden administration is doing to try to make people super happy so that they vote for him. You might not have to worry about cancellation of your underlying process, but they are taking 2 years or longer. Okay, just to answer that question. My friend had a DUI and he served time in jail. He has a son who's 21 to file for him. Will he have problems? Um, so a DUI is not a deal breaker unless there's other things go with it. If there are, you might need to schedule consultation so I can get the full facts before answering incorrectly. But DUIs by themselves are not usually something that's going to stop you from being able to move forward with a green card request. Okay. Again, thank you for everyone joining, and thank you for all your questions that people are putting in the comment section. We're about done, so I'm probably gonna hang up. Let me see if there's any last questions. When you need to remove conditions from a green card, do we have to submit again the same process as the beginning, like medical records? Okay. Um, so that's a very good question. So immigration, the whole point of the green card and the removal of conditions is to prove to the government, to convince them that you are still in a legitimate relationship and that you weren't just gaming the system. So yeah, they make you prove your relationship again, which is why, my clients hire me to do that. Even if I did their green card originally, they hire me to remove their conditions because immigration is relentless when it comes to asking for you to prove, to convince them. Again, the humanity in immigration is far from it. It's dirty tactics, and it's trying to stump the chump and make people make a mistake or not do something so that they can deny people. Because again, this border crisis stuff has weird ripple effects. One way the immigration, the Biden administration is dealing with it is by actually denying people's requests for things like, you know, removal of conditions, and that's how they get people to have to be in an unlawful status and to tell them that they have to leave the country in 30 days. It happens. Um, oh yeah. So suggestion here. I'm not sure if I answered all the questions on here. Please go to my YouTube channel and put questions in the comment section. I do videos. You can put general questions in there, and I will either answer the questions or I will do a video about it and answer the questions. Please be patient with me because I get a ton of people who do ask these questions, especially when I release awesome videos. I get a ton of people doing comments, and I don't always get to them because frankly, there's only so much sand in the hourglass, but I do try very hard to make sure that I get to them. So please post your questions in YouTube so that I can answer them. And again, as always, use the link that I posted to schedule a consultation. If you have questions that you need me help with, please go ahead and schedule the consultation. And there's the link to do it. Okay. So with tonight, I see that the questions just keep flowing. So I will tell you guys to please go and post your questions on YouTube because I am definitely over my time allotment. And I have a few more things that I have to do for some clients before I close out the night. And you can see it's dusk, so you might not be able to see me very soon. So thank you for joining me. See you all next week, next Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.